everybody was watching Wimbledon, and everybody was hoping that these two guys would reach the final, so we could see this incredible matchup.
One of the great matches in tennis history.
Two different persons, two different personalities, two different styles. So when people saw us play, they saw everything possible to see in a tennis match.
It was a rare case where there's not really a loser in a sense.
What made it such a wonderful, delectable rivalry was the absolute heat of McEnroe and the absolute eyes of Borg.
Their games are so naturally opposed. It was kind of impossible to be fans of both of them. You really sort of forced you to pick one or the other.
It must have been one of the most watched sporting events of all time, because we were so waiting for these two great figures to kind of meet each other, and then it sort of surpassed all expectations. I know Nelson Mandela was watching it in his prison cell, and it was everyone was kind of riveted by this spectacle.
Borg McEnroe, looking back, sort of feels like the culmination of this kind of early 70s golden era for tennis.
I mean, I came in at the beginning of what seemed to me like this great era with the Gerolaitis and Vilas and Borg and Connors and personality all over the place and character.
Borg was this first real superstar tennis player. He brought a kind of new youth, new sex appeal, rock star appeal to tennis that it never had before.
I actually ball boyed for him at the U.S. Open. And then when you saw what was going on with him when he started to play at Wimbledon, and I really got behind him. It just seemed like it was so much more exciting. There was it seemed like the first time that you saw a tennis player where there was a lot of young girls and like groupies around, and just the way he dressed and the way he looked with the long hair and the headband. So it was something to shoot for.
Yeah, he's smashing. He's quite something.
Here I was playing, and suddenly all these girls was coming.
He had girls running across center court, screaming during matches. That's stuff that was sort of unthinkable before and pretty much unthinkable now.
That was a new thing for tennis. That was a new thing at Wimbledon, and even for me too.
Borg was all about control and reserve, and the sort of perfect embodiment of kind of Wimbledon sportsmanship in a way.
Well, I think he's the greatest athlete that we've ever had in tennis. I don't think there's anyone even close to him. I think physically he's a step above everyone else. And he played such a unique style that, to me, no matter what happens in the future or what happened in the past, he's certainly up there.
I think the thing with McEnroe was he was new in a different way as well, and the emotion he brought to the sport, the anger he brought, the out-of-control player that tennis had never really seen before.
He's a New Yorker, with outspoken temperament,
But that is a point of law. I aced it!
Even if he gets outbursts from the court, or he was fighting with everybody.
Mr. McEnroe, you are getting a public warning. Now please play on.
He still could focus and concentrate on the game, what he was doing.
Britain was very much in flux at that time. It was the sort of early years of Thatcherism. Punk had just happened, and there was a real kind of reassessment of what the British national character was all about, and McEnroe seemed to sense that intuitively and sort of played along with it.
The court at Wimbledon is very well constructed for tennis. It was a tournament that I felt like I could win once I realized that it was a court very well suited for me.
For me, it was the only one missing to play. I've been beating all the guys at Wimbledon. There was only one guy left for me to win over, and that was John McEnroe. Before that final, I think John thought he has a good chance to win. He knew that he's playing well on the grass.
I felt like it was my turn to win. He had already won it four times in a row at that stage, and I figured that my game was well suited to play his at Wimbledon. And so I was very excited about it. I felt like my time had come.
Amidst those cheers, some boos. McEnroe, not the most popular of players.
In 1980, culturally, there were definitely two sides to the crowd. The standing section was 90% pro McEnroe. You know, they were obviously the people who had slept overnight to get into the standing room. And of course, the rest of the crowd wanted Bjorn, because Bjorn was, you know, God's gift to every upstanding citizen, if you will. You know, he never said boo to anybody. He was a great guy, and he was the guy that everybody loved.
He won the first set very easy, and I had a liver problem there. But then slowly I started to work myself into the match, and I started to play better, better, and better. And I think John saw that.
I won the first set. I had chances to take the second. And once I let him in the match, it became a totally different match. His experience came through.
I felt, no, I really have him. But I didn't. He broke me back.
Yes.
Then we came into this, you know, unbelievable tiebreaker that, you know, the whole world knows about.
He's reached set point.
Serves, down the centre, forehand return, down to the backhand, and he's beaten. He's lying on the ground on his stomach. Borg, magnificent with a forehand. Borg walking back, takes a look back to see that his opponent isn't injured, just flat out.
If Borg wins this point, I fancy the roof will blow off the centre court. Oh, a marvellous volley again. 31. Yes, 2 sets all. Yes.
So having had 7 championship points, Borg, he now has 2 more. That's it!
As soon as it ended, yeah, it was obvious that, wow, that was one of the greatest matches of all time. And most pundits were saying that is the greatest tennis match that they've ever seen.
First, I cannot believe it. It's very difficult. I mean, the emotions after winning the match and then suddenly losing the match, and then I'm here again winning the match. So in the beginning, I could not really believe this is true now. I won this match. We don't have to play more now. I won it for the 5th time. I'm beating John.
You can repeat it. It wasn't anything. We're not going to have a point taken away because this guy's an incompetent fool. You know that? That's what he is.
Well, that was the real Super Brat year. That was crazy.
He's on his worst behavior here.
That's not what I said. I said he was the pits of the world. That's exactly what he is. And I'm not going to have a point taken away.
He was feeling the pressure. It was like, this has to be my year. I'm sure he was thinking, because he had been dominant leading up to Wimbledon that year. And so I think that he was putting a lot of pressure on himself, A, to get to the final, and then B, to win the title. And, you know, the pressure is cruel.
And that's very fine play indeed. And that very fine play gives him his 2nd championship point. So McEnroe achieves his ambition to win Wimbledon, and a completely exhilarated father there.
It felt incredible. It really felt like this incredible weight had just lifted, and suddenly it was just. I realized it's addicting because you want it again.
I think he learned a lot from me as a person, as I learned from him. What we did for tennis, I think we lifted tennis to a different level.